the mistakes that were made in the city of the Palisades, the city of Los Angeles, that led to this and let this thing spiral out of control. Talk to me about the legal side of the things regarding some of the water issues and the fact that water wasn't available. And particularly, we were talking about a client of yours that lives in the Palisades that did everything he possibly could to prevent something like this. So share with us that story and how you might be involved in it.
I think one question we have, right, in addition to just the catastrophe that we're watching and the devastation that we're watching, that is really hard to. It's impossible to comprehend. I can't go there myself. There's a question about, well, what could have been done, right? I think it's a normal question. What did you do? What could you have done? And I think one question that we all have is, what mitigation efforts could homeowners have taken to prevent this? Maybe nothing, right? Maybe the winds were so fast, the 100-mile-per-hour winds. Maybe they were biblical winds. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. And so I think it is a normal question to ask what we could have done if we were in that situation, and maybe we would have done that. And I'm on the phone with a client who's also happens to be a very, very dear person. And he told me, we got on the phone, and like I said, he's displaced at this point. He's one of these people who we'll get into later who's looking for some housing, and he's dealing with the price gouging now that's going on in adjacent cities because they're housing now the tens of thousands of people who don't have homes anymore. And he told me, he said he had in a state-of-the-art sprinkler system, a sprinkler system that had in years past contained a fire that had gotten loose in the house to just one part of his home. I don't want to give up too much information because it's confidential. And he said he also did the landscaping that I think there's stories about potentially the Getty Villa that I think it didn't get touched. And one of the stories that's going around is that the Getty Villa engaged in some of these landscaping, sort of rudimentary landscaping practices in order to mitigate the effects of the fire, I guess, taking hold in the grounds around the Getty Villa. So he did this. This is a person who took care of his trees, just recently paid for it, and has the receipts to prove it. He took care of the shrubbery. He did his part to contain, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm not an arborist, but he did what he was supposed to do to cut back the trees and cut back the brush. The second thing he has is the state-of-the-art sprinkler system that I was describing that gets activated once the heat levels reach a certain temperature. When he went back to go to his house, he was blocked at about 11:45, 12 o'clock on Tuesday. This isn't like he was trying to go there at midnight. This kind of fire breaks out, however the heck it starts, at around, again, roughly, I don't know the exact timeline, around 9, 10 o'clock, 10:30. By 11:45, he was around Beverly Hills. As people may know, it's about a 15-minute ride from Beverly Hills back to the Palisades. He's now blocked, I believe, LAPD had cut off most major arteries into the Palisades by noon, to the point where homeowners couldn't get back into their houses. Now, this is separate, so we couldn't go back in. My understanding then is that DWP at some point on Tuesday cut off the water. So in addition to there being a water shortage, which we shouldn't have, particularly knowing that fires happen almost annually in this area, and I was in the Palisades, by the way, during the 2021 Woolsey fire, massive devastation to major parts of Malibu, and it also got in a little bit farther south in Brentwood. Have a lack of water, and then DWP cuts off the water so the sprinkler systems can't even work. And the third horrible thing is this individual ended up going back into the Palisades about 2 days ago. He was able to get a sheriff escort to go in. Houses are burning, and there are no firefighters. It's almost like there's a stand down order that we had during the rioting going on in 2020. So to me, the analogy is this. We have a bunch of children being abducted from good families, honest families. And the law enforcement agencies are saying you families cannot go and engage in your own Taken-like activities. And by the way, to go find out who abducted your children. And by the way, the law enforcement, we're not going to do it either. I don't know. To me, I think it's incredibly actionable. I'm aware of people being able to take action. I believe that's action that can be taken against the Department of Water and Power. The self-help was not available whatsoever. And that to me is unconscionable.
Yeah, so do we know why is water cut off? I don't understand it. Is it because there's no water? Is this a
What
lawsuit?
I think it is a lawsuit. What the Department of Water and Power says is we want to cut off the power. Now, in theory, this idea has some iota of logic. They want to, when the winds get so high and the fires are burning, they want to cut power lines in order to prevent the wires from being disrupted and adding more fires, that the power lines don't break down and causing more electrical fires due to the winds. Now that's one thing, but the cutting off then of the water supply, there should at least be some backup generators. There needs to be an emergency management system that's put in place by these public officials that says, fine, we can And then we're in 2024, by the way, 2025, okay? We can have a situation where we can cut off certain power so the power lines don't become another contributing factor to the conflagration. And at the same time, allow homeowners at least a fighting chance to have the sprinkler system working so that the power can be on and so that their own potentially backup generators can work and operate. But they cut off everything
Yep.
and they're leaving these homeowners left to die.